Here's the ugly truth about running a business. My latest business was making 5 figures every month, but I just decided to close it. From a 7-year-old selling erasers to my schoolmates to a seasoned business owner, I've been running businesses almost all of my life. But today, I'm turning a page on a major chapter. I'm closing down the venture that I poured my heart into for the last 4 years. As part of that move, I had to do something that has never been easy. I had to let go of people, and in this case, my entire team. So I don't have a team anymore. No editors, no social media managers, no project managers, no consultants, no business partners, nobody. I'll share the raw truth about letting go and what's next on my entrepreneurial journey. This is a story you won't want to miss. In case you're new here, this wasn't my first business. I've been in business my entire life and was involved in multiple ones. Some successful, some not so. Even as a 7-year-old kid, I was selling things like country erasers and music CDs to my classmates. I hated studying and didn't understand why my parents and teachers kept telling me to study and get good grades. If the intent was to get a good job to make money, why couldn't I just get a job then? So I said screw it and discovered how to start my own business while I was still a student. That business grew to be Vodian, the largest hosting provider in Singapore. It was a business that I spent 17 years of my life creating, ever since I was 17 years old. Right after the exit, I took the opportunity to travel the world full-time for 2 years. After I came back, I felt renewed and recharged and wanted to lean in on what I always knew to do: business. So what's this business? I started a coaching business aimed at helping entrepreneurs scale up and called it super scaling. This was the start of what would have been a nightmare. Unlike the glory and fun that's typically depicted by entrepreneurs, running a business has a lot that's going behind the scenes. The business idea was great because I could share my experience and knowledge with other entrepreneurs, help them in their businesses, and also learn how to become a better teacher, mentor, and coach. In super scaling, I worked with entrepreneurs to scale up their own businesses and did it successfully with my clients having great results for their own businesses. They improved everything from their revenues, profit margins, team satisfaction, employee and customer churn, and everything else needed to scale their businesses. Once I started having a few clients, I did what every entrepreneur would do. I started hiring. I found a project manager, a business partner, a consultant, a video editor, and many other employees. I grew that business till we had a team of 9, a videographer, and other freelancers with products, events, webinars, and coaching calls. The business started growing and it was very exciting to see more and more customers and higher revenues. We also started doing all sorts of things, from organizing more events to increasing marketing and growing our product line. But what I didn't expect is how things would turn out from this point onwards. Everything went well, but then I realized that what I had built was turning out to be a completely different animal. Instead of my original intent of helping people scale up their businesses in order to achieve freedom, super scaling was turning out to be a consultancy come event organizing business. The combination of the business model direction and doing something that I wasn't very passionate about started to burn myself out. It became a chore that I started to feel incredibly disinterested about. I had a thriving business again, but I realized that I was on the path of losing the freedom that I so desperately wanted. The business was filling my days with meetings, events, and coaching calls. It wasn't that I didn't like being able to help people, but I had built a business on a model that was horribly wrong for myself. It got to a point where I didn't know where or how the business would grow further. I had a deep sense of dread and even felt like I didn't want to take on new clients anymore. I discovered that the business was no longer sustainable. I took a few weeks to mull over the possible outcomes, decisions, and possibilities, but there was no clear path out. Once I realized this, I made an incredibly difficult decision of closing down the business. Although it felt like a waste because of all the things that we had built up, strangely, I actually felt a sense of relief when I got to this point. But now was the toughest part: the people on the team and how I'd break the news to them. These were the people who trusted me and joined the super scaling business on the original vision that it had. I felt like it was my responsibility to help them through this transition as well. These people had their livelihoods and futures dependent on the business, and I felt a great sense of responsibility to them. One of the things that I did was to make sure that I found alternatives for them, and so I hit up my network to see if anyone was looking to hire. I knew from their time with super scaling that they all grew in terms of skills and competencies, and so they could definitely hold their own in the job market. I managed to get a few interviews for the team, and at the time of this video, I'm glad to see that only one hasn't found a new role yet. So what happens now? If you're feeling like you're at a crossroads in your life, you'll understand this. Every period of reinvention must come with change, and personally, this has been a great period of change in my life. I honestly don't know what will happen next, but that's the beauty of things. I have to go discover what it is that I want to devote my time, attention, and focus on again. I would still like to help entrepreneurs, but I'm going to take time off to discover and pursue my passions, cement my learning so far, and work on myself and my relationships. The main idea is to experiment and allow myself the space to discover and obsess about new interests again. I know that there are 4 main areas that I want to develop, which serve to design my life from a holistic approach. Financial abundance, peak fitness, improving relationships, and developing myself. It's time to go back to the drawing board and explore my interests and new fields that I've neglected due to my previous business commitments and life in general. If you're also at a crossroads in life, I think it's important to realize and embrace that while the process can be daunting, it's also exhilarating at the same time. We have to understand that growth requires us to step out of our comfort zones and embrace uncertainty. I like this quote by Robert Fritz. If you limit your choices only to what seems possible or reasonable, you disconnect yourself from what you truly want, and all that is left is compromise. The way to activate the seeds of your creation is by making choices about the results you want to create. So how do we reinvent ourselves? There are 5 main ways to reinvent yourself effectively. Number 1, networking. Actively seeking conversations with individuals from diverse industries can spark new ideas and opportunities. Number 2, education. Pursuing courses or certifications to gain knowledge in your areas of interest. Number 3, experimentation. Trying out short-term projects or freelance work to test the waters in different fields. Number 4, reflection. Taking time to reflect on your past experiences and how they shape your future aspirations. I think this is really important for us to do because what typically happens is we just go through life almost on autopilot and we don't even question why we do certain things or where we're going in life. Number 5, mindset. Adopting a growth mindset, understanding that skills can be developed and that change can lead to growth. It's important to have the frame that reinvention is a healthy aspect of life and it's not a sign of failure. Rather, it should be seen as an important step towards personal growth and renewed fulfillment. Without reinvention, it's very difficult to craft a life that aligns with your evolving values and goals. In fact, the journey of reinvention itself can be as rewarding as the destination because it allows yourself to discover so much about yourself. I had a period of reinvention between 2018 and 2020, and in that period, I was simply traveling the world full-time. Although I had exited my business, I deliberately kept my living expenses low. I didn't have an apartment back home in Singapore, nor any other liabilities, and chose very affordable accommodation options. One of my favorite accommodation choices was actually hostels, which cost around $20 a night, but comes with a great benefit of having a ready-made community for you in a foreign land. There are so many other hostel guests who are friendly and you can just join along in with tours and activities. Also, rather than just do touristy activities, I prioritize making friends, looking for adventure, trying out new activities, and just learning more about myself. After that period of reinvention, I discovered a lot more about myself, my preferences, my goals, my motivations, and what I wanted to be involved next. Mandy Hale is the author of The Single Woman, said this really well. You will learn as you get older that rules are made to be broken. Be bold enough to live life on your own terms and never ever apologize for it. Go against the grain, refuse to conform, Take the road less traveled instead of the well-beaten path. Laugh in the face of adversity and leap before you look. Dance as though everybody is watching. March to the beat of your own drummer and stubbornly refuse to fit in. This time around, reinvention feels both familiar and unfamiliar to me. It's the great unknown, but in any case, it'll be a journey. I don't know how I'll do it or what I'll do, but I'll be documenting my journey, so hopefully that will help you understand how I will navigate this. Drop me a comment if this is something that you're thinking of, or it's a journey that you're on as well. Don't forget to subscribe as well, because I'll be putting out my next video real soon. See you then.